welcome back to another train video. We got no time to lose as we have a train coming through the bushes, so let's go. This train is CN's daily Sarnia to Toronto train, also known as CN A424. This stop starts its day at 9:30 a.m. where they make their consist solid on the yard tracks before heading eastbound out of Sarnia. It usually consists of tank cars carrying chemicals, petroleum products, then hoppers carrying plastic pellets, boxcars carrying anything you can imagine, and empty autoracks all returning back to Toronto's Macmillan Yard to get sorted onto outbound trains across the entire CN network. An hour or two of waiting, the CN Office Car Special, or OCS, flew past on its way to Toronto, Ontario from Homewood, Illinois. This was the dead move to Toronto and the prize catch of the day. A week later, I was in Strathroy for the day and caught the CN train flying down the tracks. It was L509's westbound trip to Sarnia. 509 starts its day at around 4 a.m. in CN's London Yard, located about 20 miles up the line, and goes to Sarnia and back. Today, however, they were very late for reasons unknown to me. I rarely catch 509's westbound runs, so this was a very cool train, and it had great power. This train carries most of the same cars as A424, but with the notable difference being those loaded frame cars on the back, which would become your own car's frame. These come from St. Thomas, Ontario and go down to Sarnia. Day, we are back in the peak town of Wyoming with an extremely late and slow M399. This train had been lined with a high grain for over 2 hours and cleared Strathroy, which only takes 40 minutes to get to by train, over an hour and 30 minutes before I got here. Brutal. 399 usually starts its day in Toronto, Ontario at about 10 p.m., but as you can clearly see, it is daylight and in fact 2:30 p.m. Anyway, enough ranting. 399 comes out of CN's Macmillan Yard in Toronto, heading westbound to CN's Kirk Yard in Gary, Indiana. It makes stops along the way in Battle Creek, Michigan to pick up autoracks. The stop is usually a long train carrying empties back. It carries anything in the book from boxcars to bare tables to depressed flat cars. You name it, it's on there. A couple of days later, we are back in good old Wyoming with a couple of rail fans for the morning. I forgot to record most of the trains, so out of the 6 we got, I only recorded 1. Sorry. It was the old reliable 424. 424 comes out of Sarnia, heading eastbound to Toronto Yard, carrying tanks, hoppers, boxcars. The next day I was back in Wyoming with another rail fan. So many trains. Our first train was CN westbound L501 coming out of Garnet, Ontario to Sarnia with a very nice leader being an SD70i, which only 26 were ever built. It's very rare to see one leading. This job carries traffic for the NS and CS6, which consists of guns, tanks, coil cars, and loaded steel slabs. As you can tell with this horrible video, we were totally caught off guard by this train. Only 10 minutes had passed, and we were discussing our shots of L501 like true foamers, when the gate started ringing and the loud horn of an SD70M-2 made itself known. This was CN E271, a westbound empty automotive train from Montreal to Quebec to Flat Rock, Michigan to the Ford plant. This train was extremely late, as it usually leaves Montreal at 8 a.m., but it left at 6 p.m. After a 30-minute lull, everyone's favorite late passenger rail, Via Rail, would show up with yet again another charger. Yay. Surprisingly, today they were on time. But it didn't last long, as only 3 miles down the tracks there were problems with another train, which we will see shortly. Me and my friend always find it amusing watching the Via struggle to line up to the third car with the platform here. Today it took them 3 tries to get. After a quick station stop, they were on their way to Strathroy, London, St. Mary's, Stratford, Kitchener, Georgetown, Malton, and eventually Toronto. So, here's the story of this train. When we first got here, we were hearing the dispatcher crashing out over 509, which is a training question about having no train journal, which every train has to have on CN so the dispatchers know what they're carrying and what their orders are. They also had picked up 6 extra cars at Sarnia, which didn't help. This dispatcher also said, and I quote, "I'm not about to close down this railroad because of you guys not knowing if you have dimensionals or not." After more talking, the dispatcher gave them the choice of sitting where they were currently until they could get a new journal, which may take hours, or go back to Sarnia and drop the 6 extra cars. In the end, they chose the Sarnia option, which we were very happy about. A couple of minutes later, they would get the light out the siding, and the light at Wyoming would go high green. with time running out, the final train of the day would fittingly be A424 with the usual GEVO, sadly. As always, this job comes out of Sarnia, Ontario, heading eastbound to Toronto Yard, carrying tank cars, hoppers, boxcars. Today, though, they had an interesting load on a flat car, which we'll see later. It kind of looked like a generator for something, not sure where it's heading, however. This train was also surprisingly long for an A424. I believe they were just shy of 8,000 feet today. An absolute giant.